Nigeria's current political landscape is marked by significant developments and challenges. Recent events highlight the complexities of our democratic system and the ongoing struggles within political parties. Now, party dynamics and defections have continued, and the ruling APC is alleged to be mounting pressure on opposition figures to defect. Internal turmoil has rocked the major parties as the 2027 elections and political alignment take center stage. These developments underscore the dynamic nature of Nigeria's politics, where alliances are shifting and the path to the 2027 elections is becoming increasingly complex. Welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Kumi, and I'm joined by the chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council, who is also the chairman of the Allied People's Movement, a registered political party in Nigeria, Mr. Yusuf Dantale. Welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you so much, Mr. Terry.
It's been over a year now since you assumed office as the chairman of IPAC. IPAC is not entirely popular among the electorate, I dare say that. And some would question
Before now.
Before now? Okay. I'd ask you why you think that was so and what you're doing differently. And I'll also ask you about the reconciliation moves you've made since you became chairman, because I know that some persons were not entirely happy with your emergence. The ADP specifically, that's the party to which the immediate past chairman belongs to. So the reconciliation, the activities of IPAC before you and now.
In the past, IPAC was operated like an opposition body against maybe the ruling political party. Unfortunately, it is not so. The inter-party, all the parties, IPAC is like a mother to all the parties. So what we do is purely advisory, and then we talk within rather than coming out to throw a tantrum against the ruling party, and then maybe somebody will feel should be is an opposition. We don't have opposition in the Interparty Advisory Council, but that doesn't stop you from going to do your opposition activities in your individual political party. So that is one of the major things I've been able to clarify among member political parties that no, you can't do your position with the Interparty Advisory Council. We advise, we talk inside, we do our discussions inside. But when you want to come out and oppose, yes, APM, my party can go out and oppose, that's different from me. But I won't come out to oppose any political party because I am driving the affairs of the party. It is an aberration.
And what about the reconciliation aspect? Do you have all the parties together now? Is every party on board within IPAC?
We never had problem in the Interparty Advisory Council. We only had one man, not even the party, one man, because members of his party were still with us up to now. They are with us, just an individual. The man who was the chairman, and he's somebody I respect so much. He's an elder, and then a national chairman of the political party, who refused to concede defeat in an election among 18 political parties. You know, that is ridiculous. But it's suspected in some, because we are not all the same. We don't think alike. I don't know why, but that one went off a long time ago. It didn't take us 3 weeks to take care of that.
How did you take care of it? Is he on your side now?
No, he went
or is he still aggrieved?
No, he went to court and the court threw it out. And the court saw what is on ground.
Yeah, I know that, but are you on the same page with him now? Is it IPAC one family now? Because that's the ADP chairman. Has the ADP been fully receptive towards you as chairman?
No, there's no program we have had that ADP is not represented. For us, or for me as a chairman, I have no problem with any political party.
Very well.
We have no problem with any leadership.
Okay.
So as long as APs, for all the parties are with us in everything we do.
Okay.
So if there's anything that is, I don't know, but I've not seen anything.
Let's talk about the advisory role that IPAC plays now and its impact on governance ultimately, because that's the end goal. When you talk about an umbrella body for political parties, which many would say has no bite, some will now question, so what is the essence of having a council like this if it cannot impact on political parties? Maybe especially the big ones. You belong to one of the political parties that many may not consider to be among the top tier of political parties, and you head the council.
Thank you. See, when you look at these things, you have to begin to look at the foundations. These are some of the problems we are addressing quietly without making noise. All we want is to get it resolved. In the past, IPAC never had a constitution. We have been operating with a code of conduct, which you know is not really strong. So when we interact with the legal, the learned people or persons, what we are made to understand is that for IPAC to be stronger than what it is, and for IPAC to be able to wield some strength, we should be able to develop a constitution. And luckily to us, with the support of the World Westminster Foundation for Democracy, WFD, we have been able to put up a constitution which all the parties have endorsed, except the ADP that did not endorse, even though they were present in all the things, but the chairman himself did not. The 18 other political parties with all of us on this, and then very soon, maybe at the time we're unveiling it, Channels TV will be there to cover the event. So that is one. Secondly, identifying and then looking at the ideals of the Party Advisory Council, we have been able to do that. We know IPAC recently, when we came on board, one of the first things we did, we had a roundtable on then the role of judiciary in deepening democracy, and we brought in stakeholders who at least came out to speak, and then a communique was issued, and we sent it to the appropriate authorities. And then from there again, you know what IPAC is doing to see that we increase the representation of women and people with disability and the youth as the underrepresented group in the political space. It's increased constitutionally. We are working with the National Assembly. We have had engagements with the Joint Committee on National Assembly, and last week too, we had engagement with the National Assembly, the House of Reps, okay, at Intercontinental Hotel on some of these things. So we are doing a lot. We have it. When I came on board, I established 3 directorates. We have the Directorate for Women Affairs, Directorate for Youth Affairs, and then that of people with disability. And same last 2 weeks, we have the Directorate of Women Affairs under the leadership of Hajia Zainab Ibrahim, who is also the Deputy National Woman Leader of the APC. And then we had a program under the sponsorship of National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. So what we are doing is to see that at least when we have a legislation that empowers us to do some things, we will do them.
Okay.
And then you are also aware that the process of constitution and
Constitution amendments
and the Electoral Act amendment is ongoing. So we are putting so many things. There are so many recommendations that I want to talk about too. That IPAC.
I'm very curious to know what that is as well, because to give bites to the Inter-Party Advisory Council, it almost would seem that some legislation would be needed. What sort of legislation do you think? Also, there are those who believe that a neutral individual or body handling the affairs of IPAC would be more...
IPAC or political parties?
IPAC generally, because you belong to a political party, and you've also said that there are some levels of criticisms you can't dish out as IPAC. You only advise, but you could do that as APM. So if a neutral person heads IPAC, perhaps that would give more bite or credence. So talk about the legislation needed and react to those who believe a neutral person should head IPAC.
First, you can't have a fair competition where you have no basis for competition, where you don't have the equal strength or close to equal strength. So what do I mean? In the past, political parties have been funded. Party belongs to nobody. Ideally, that's what it's supposed to be. But today, you see political parties being driven indirectly by one individual. Reason is simple, because such individuals fund the political party or because it's a name. Okay, let me use a few political parties as an example. Okay, for instance, the APC as it is today is some major individuals who came together to rescue power from the PDP. And they were names. These are people who have resources, and with some sitting governors who have access to public resources. You have a situation where political leaders go for campaign with public aircraft, vehicles, fund. Some of these things, which fine. if you have this situation, some political parties are at disadvantaged position because they will not be able to match their competitors with equal or close resources. So you should restore funds to political parties, but under the prudence management or supervision of INEC, as it was in the past.
Federal government should fund political parties.
Yes. That is one. This is one of the recommendations. Because for all the parties you see today, there must be a name, one individual who is able to drive the party. Okay, like the Labour Party, we all know where Labour Party was before the incoming of a P2B. We know when NNPP was before the coming of Kwankwaso. So you know all, or some of these things are visible. So why this is not supposed to be so? The party is supposed to be driven by all.
You think that Peter Obi and Kwankwaso are funding their parties?
You should answer this question. You know better.
I don't know.
Okay, fine. So these are, okay, who is Kwankwaso in the first place? He was the former governor, former minister of defense. Who is P2B? He was the former governor. You understand? So they have more financial chest than you, than me, and maybe a few others. So it's like that. Then with this thing, it is difficult for political parties to be driven with ideology. Rather, it is open to whoever comes and is able to move the party forward financially and otherwise. So we must be sincere with some of these things. So let's not dwell so much about on the funding. One of the things we look at, we recommended was the conduct of election in one day. So because when you stagger election, the implication is that you are going to short both commercial, academic activities, and so many other things. But when you conduct this thing in one day, everybody, all the contestants, all the candidates will focus on their election. It will reduce crisis. It's one of our recommendations. Another thing we recommended, there are so many recommendations. Now look at the minimum qualification for people seeking political office in Nigeria, for instance. That the man, SSE holder, will go and make laws, drive the affairs, make policies for professors. You see what the result is, you know that. So it is, for me or for us, it is anachronistic. So we should be able to balance this. So let's have people, but I'm not saying because somebody doesn't have Western education, he's not intelligent, but then if that is what applies to our other institutions, we should be able to synchronize it with leadership in Nigeria.
Okay, so I see
we still have more of the recommendations.
We would love to hear that, but I see you've extended the conversation to constitution amendments.
Yes, of course. I started
for
with
general governance.
Yes, of course.
Initially, the conversation was more about political parties and IPAC, the strength of IPAC. But let me ask you this question with regard to political parties. There is currently a bill before the National Assembly to establish a commission to regulate the activities of political parties. Do you think that is a good bill?
Correct. You see, I was going there because it's still part of our recommendations, that INEC is overwhelmed with so many, because number one, INEC register voters, constituency delimitation, in short, the
prosecution of
offenders, INEC conduct election from all elections. Now, with INEC conduct federal election, for instance, not state. But if you look at it commonsensically,
not local government.
State House of Assembly elections, they are state elections. But INEC, they are not federal elections. INEC conducting these elections. And so many other things that INEC does. So some of our recommendations, okay, fine. A body, you allow INEC to do, or why you take some, you still give INEC some. We might not have a perfect position. But look at the election being conducted at the state level, for instance, in Nigeria. You will agree with me that there's no election, apart from FCT election, which is being conducted by INEC. The other elections, we have at the state is more of coronation than election by the government, the governors in power. It's the same thing. Though nobody is exempted. All elections conducted. Even though we have a few cases, but it's almost the same thing.
Okay, so you think...
And then we also recommended that if a winner emerges after an election, you go ahead to swear in the winner. The man who have reservations with the elections, who is approaching our tribunals on the courts, okay, will be at disadvantage when the man who is in power, either as a governor or as a president, otherwise, have the state apparatus at his disposal over the other person. So we recommended that all litigations emanating from elections should be terminated before swearing in. So that you don't swear, because there are situations too. You swear in a candidate, you go to court, at the end of the court will say otherwise, and then you now go back again and begin to conduct fresh election using public funds that we virtually don't have, or it's not really, or it's scarce. Because the condition of this country today, we have to begin to look at how we spend money.
Wait, how achievable is this with regard to concluding all litigations before swearing in? The reason is courts are already overburdened. Our courts are overburdened. So election tribunals are created. It goes from election tribunal to appeal court and in some cases Supreme Court. And there are those who are now arguing that all litigation should end at tribunal level.
If we are able to set timetable for election and ensure that that election is conducted, we should also be able to set time for the termination of litigations emanating from such elections. It is possible. You can say it's difficult.
For example, we know that the state and the Federal Assembly litigations end at the appeal court level. We know that the governors and that of the president go all the way to the Supreme Court. Perhaps you would be suggesting that the Supreme Court should be eliminated from all this and everything should end at the
these things court. Are related to so many other things. Why do we even have all these litigations in the first place? Our recommendation accommodates most of the issues that arise during election. And we have more of primary elections. And these primary elections supposed to be elections conducted by the parties sponsoring the candidates themselves. You understand? So the process of primary election
are the main sources of litigations.
Yes. Yes. So we have to begin to look at. I don't have everything in my head because I didn't put it together single-handedly, but we have recommendations that will sanitize beyond where we are the process of primary elections, so that we won't have, because I think primary elections should be more important than general elections.
Or perhaps we have too many political parties.
Do we?
I'm asking.
What do you think?
Because there are those who believe that too many political parties could be responsible for the stretch of elections and why we can't conduct all elections in one day and why litigations will be proliferated after elections.
I think this has nothing to do with the number of political parties. There's nothing wrong with the political parties. We are just 19. We had 93 in the past. And today we have just 19. So why, for a population that is over about 300 million, because we keep on saying Nigeria, and then we have not really conducted a verifiable census to know exactly what the population is. And that is another thing that Nigeria need to do to know exactly what we are, so that at least the Ministry of Budget and Planning will know exactly the population that they are planning for. So this is another thing.
But then this takes us to the deregistration of political parties.
Yes.
I'd like to think that you do not subscribe to the deregistration of political parties who fail to win a single seat in an election.
You see, what you see, we have to be fair to the system. We make laws at times that will favor us at that period. Yesterday, we had some leaders in the National Assembly in executive position, legislative position. They saw these things, but because it was not lucrative to them, or not what they want, they try to circumvent it, or they just allow it to go. But today, the same people are in opposition trying to come together to see how they can bring in something new to undo those things they did yesterday. So it's like that. If today you are in the system and you think, no, let's do this because it is not what I want, it doesn't serve my purpose, tomorrow you won't be there. It is a norm. It has been like that. So how can you tell me that this party is not competing well where the environment for this competition is absent? How do I compete? My party does not have any executive position. There is no fund coming. There's not even maybe support from maybe the government-owned media houses. Those, okay, let's drive their media activities and other things that have to get individual. Yes, we can say it, but it is not easy. Looking at the situation, the economic situation of Nigerians today, how many Nigerians would you ask to come and donate money? It is only during Buhari time that we saw it, and it ended there.
But we hear people donated for the Labour Party, and at the time it was one of those parties that almost didn't have a political base, per se.
Yes, who are those people who donated to the Labour Party? You understand? It's not just about membership. What I'm saying is that membership drive of 1,500, maybe highest 5,000, yes, so how many Nigerians? We don't get it. We have tried it. It never worked. It never, not even those at the executive positions of the party most times. We must be sincere.
Where do we...
What we're saying is that, yes, if parties do not perform, they restart them, but gives them that enabling environment.
What is an enabling environment?
Funding, just like I said, is very important. You know how expensive it is to run election here today, from purchase of form, conduct of primary elections, trying to get your supporters to go register, even political party meetings. You bring people, you need to feed them, you need to transport them, you need to accommodate them, few other things. But for those, okay, yesterday, for instance, there was a meeting, okay, of a PDP. It was easier because you have governors, you have one of the governors donating the government house, the governor's lodge, things like that. It's easier. Using the paraphernalia of the office that people occupy. So it is not easy, but where you have little support.
Where do we draw the nexus between supporting political parties and creating a system where anyone could just start up a political party and begin to draw from the federal government just for the sake of it?
No. You see,
will there be criteria for funding these political parties?
Today, as it stands, I want to commend INEC sincerely. The INEC is doing a lot. Okay, whatever problem we have in Nigeria today, it is institutional. It is everywhere. But what INEC is doing a lot to sanitize the system. Now, INEC oversees spending. They audit accounts of every political party. Last month, INEC just developed a portal to monitor online the finances of political parties, which is difficult, and I know most political parties might not like that, but it's a welcome development to monitor the finances. So it is not just easy, and then today it is easy to track movement of funds. Those periods you are talking about, it wasn't easy to track funds. You have agencies like the EFCC, the ICPC, tracking funds. We are in a computer age. So it won't be easy for anybody to just convert public money into his own. So if you give, you should be able to monitor. So this is what we are saying. You might not even necessarily give the funds, but you can cushion the effect by providing some of this environment without necessarily giving cash. No.
Very well then. Let's go into some trending issues now. Perhaps one of the most trending issue is Professor Patutomi's Big Tent movement shadow government. There's been a back and forth between him and the federal government. I'd like to think you followed that conversation, so let me get your thoughts on this shadow government proposed by Professor Patutomi.
I didn't follow, and I don't really have in-depth knowledge of what it is, what he means or what the group means. But when you use the word government, what it means is that you have authority to do something. And you cannot have one government that is voted by the people, and then you have another government put together and you call it shadow government. I think maybe whatever if it is opposition, yes, opposition is a very healthy thing in our democracy. And I urge the government of the day to welcome opposition from all, as long as the opposition is constructive, because it will help the government to get off track, if at all they are going off track. But not when you have a name like shadow government. For me, it is not a welcome development. Because
so it's the name.
Yes, you can call it a name, but if you look at the literal meaning of what government is, it is something that have authority to execute. So I think they should look at the name and then maybe make the but if as a political party, as a civil society organization, as other pressure groups, fine.
So
but
Professor,
calling it shadow government, I am not really cool with it, and I think that is where the government is having.
Okay, so let's look into the functions of the proposed functions of this shadow government now. Professor Patutomi says it's to present policies and create citizens' engagement as a form of opposition to the state of the nation as it is today. If I recall correctly, I know he was on Politics Today, where he said that they would come together on a very specific sector, have dialogue on it, do their investigations and put out policy statements. And also beyond the name, if these are the functions, should you think that the government should be worried as well?
No. Of course, it's a welcome development because no one has it or nobody knows it all. Professor Patutomi is a respected Nigerian. He has done so well trying to contribute to the betterment of this country. We respect him. I personally respect him, and I hold him in high esteem. Honestly, it is good, and then he's not known for anything that is anti-functional to the existence of the Nigerian state. But if that is what I've said earlier is just in the name. So if that could be rephrased, and with this objective, I think there's nothing wrong with it. But he can still do it under platform of political parties, except he doesn't want a civil society organization.
I think he said he doesn't want that. He doesn't even want a poor government appointment. He wants to be in that role where you can criticize and sort of advise government if government will listen. But now that brings us to the role of opposition. The argument that there's been no opposition in the country or the opposition is slipping, it cuts across all political parties in the opposition. And as it seems now, Nigeria's political system is taking a new dimension, maybe not new to many people, but this high level of politicking 2 years before the general election is raising concerns. And the concern is because of the high level of defections, mainly to the ruling All Progressives Congress. What do you make of it?
I always look at problems from the foundation of that problem. I don't look at the symptoms of the problem. So, and what do I mean? How did we get to where we are? So what kind of democracy do we run in this country in the first place? And who are the people in government or who seek political office? What is their relationship with the people? And how well have the government fared in taking care of the problems or the welfare of the people? So until you look at these things and then look at the people going. But one thing is certain. Nigerians will do the right thing at the right time. I've always said this. Yes, as some people are going into the APC, there's nothing wrong in that. That is where they feel their own interests will be protected. Some other persons are moving from APC. The only thing, maybe the ratio might not be proportionate. But you should understand that APC is in government. And then most of us, most politicians in Nigeria, we do not play politics on the basis of ideology. We play politics on the basis of what we get personally. I've said this. So until politics become less lucrative, some of these things will continue.
So on the basis of you saying that it is sort of normal practice,
it is.
It may not be proportionate. How then do you react to concerns of one-party state?
I don't understand how you mean one party in Nigeria. Having one party state in Nigeria.
Even former President Goodluck Jonathan has said that Nigeria is tilting in that direction.
You can't have one party state in Nigeria. It is not possible. You see, most countries that have one party state, even that there's still other political parties. You can have one dominant party. But having a one party state is something constitutional. We have to go back to the drawing board, the foundation of Nigerian democracy. Except we do not want to practice democracy. But if we want to practice democracy, considering the differences in the languages we speak, in our religious practices, in our cultural background, and so many other political ideologies, it is very, very difficult. In short, I don't see that happening in Nigeria, no. Not today.
No, why you don't see it happening?
There are
those who have been raising fears.
If you say we are having a situation where there is a dominant party, but not one party state, there are two different things. Yeah, fine, but we can't have one party state in Nigeria.
Well, it doesn't take away the concerns that have been raised from really high quarters. I drew your attention to former President Goodluck Jonathan. That is a very high-level politician and statesman in Nigeria. So if he's raised those concerns, in fact, he said that if that's the way to go, then we must go about it the right way.
Constitutionally, yes.
Beautiful. So that brings me to the question. What does a one-party state mean for Nigeria? What should Nigeria expect if we decide to go the way of a one-party state? I ask this because the APC national chairman has said that there's nothing wrong with a one-party state. He's also said that he's drawn examples from like China, saying that China has a one-party state and they're doing very well.
If you go to China today, the relationship between the Chinese citizen on the street and government is very clear. China is a society today where you have everybody working. In China, if you give somebody something, I've given somebody money in China and the person asked me, why? Because the person says, why are you giving me money? I said, no, we don't do that. You are in a society where there are empty houses built for people waiting to occupy. That hunger, insecurity as we have, and other social crises, terrorism, banditry, it is alien to their system there. But even at that, the Communist Party of China, the CPC, is predominant party, but there are other parties, about 7 or 8 in China there. It's not that CPC is not alone. But the life expectancy is different. We are in a situation, you see where we are. Today, people sleep in their offices from Monday till Friday before going because it is difficult to pay transportation. The schools that some of us attended, we cannot put our children there today. The hospitals that I was born, I won't go there or my children will not go there because we are progressively retrogressing. The system have to change. But somehow, I have hope that we'll have a better, looking at what Dangote is doing in the petroleum industry. before we just wake up to see announcement about price increase in petrol. But somehow that monopoly has been broken by the powers of God to an extent by an individual. This year alone, I think Dangote have succeeded in reducing the price of petroleum up to 4 or 5 times. I saw one this morning, coming back to 820 something.
But some say that's another form of monopoly, that it would be best if he, because the argument of whether he can supply the entire nation is still neither here nor there. There are those who say that let us import what the deficit.
You do not expect, if you today you are embarking on revolutionary act, you don't expect everybody to clap for you, because there are people who benefit from the porosity of that system. How does he monopolize? Does he have the capacity to stop others from going into refining? Does the government of this country not have other refineries? Was there not a publication recently how the government have put in some money to do turnaround maintenance, and they are refining petroleum somewhere in Warri, and somehow again at the end of the day that one have come to a halt, and somebody said no, that what they do in the refinery is not even refining, but they only take product from Dangote refinery to blend it. So it is normal, it is expected. Nobody, everybody will not clap hand for you. So I do not see Nigeria going one party state. It is a difficult situation. It's a difficult thing to comprehend. Not today. Until the right thing is done.
But then, if you don't see, perhaps those who advance the concerns around one-party state, look at it from not the one-party state as you have rightly put it, but from the perspective that the APC is going to be such a dominant party that it would be left with almost no opposition with a level of defections. Do you think that the defections are okay? Because 2027 is around the corner.
My brother, in the last election, 2023 election, let's look at P2B, for instance. How many states did he win? Not less than 10. Where he doesn't have councillor, where he doesn't have House of Assembly members, where he doesn't have senators, where he has no, he won. So why would you think it's impossible?
Why do you think he won?
What is important is, what is the APC going to sell to Nigerians? And what are other parties or contenders going to sell to Nigerians?
But Nigerian
Mr.
Chairman, 1 second.
Yes.
Nigerian politics is local, as they say. And you win with numbers. So I ask you, why do you think Peter Obi won? And secondly, even within the Labour Party, there are cracks which almost suggest that aspect of opposition is almost gone.
I'm a student of sociology, and I want to refer you to Robert Martin's theory of anomie. He said people react to social situations in 5 ways. The first, he said, conformity. Second is innovation. Third is retreatism. Fourth is ritualism. And fifth is rebellion. The first group comply. They accept the values of the society. They comply with the process of attaining such values. The second group, okay, yes, we accept the values, but the system is not enabling. So what do? Let's innovate our own ways. There you now have maybe the 419ers, the armed robbers, the other ones who they want that thing that everybody in the society want. They want to live life. They want to live sufficiently, but they have to innovate their own ways, rejecting the process, but accepting the values, plus minus. You now have the other group who retreat, okay, into drugs, as we have. Maybe Roshi, Indiahem, and others, creating mental satisfaction. Then you have the other group who maybe take satisfaction into ritual activities, religion, born againism. That, okay, fine. After all, this world is a very short stage that we can let's just do what, since there's another world in heaven or hereafter, let's do this and we'll get. But the last group say no. Since the system is responsible for our state, our condition, we have to rebel against the system. So in Nigeria, we have that. The original Boko Haram that came, they say Boko, Western education, have failed us. Since it has failed to give us life, let's rebel against. They started by building schools, by burning schools, attacking government agencies, police stations and all that. Not the Boko Haram that we have. In the eastern part of Nigeria, some persons say, no, why are we even in Nigeria in the first place? Nigeria is the problem we have. We have to create our own, which is Biafra. We must get it. Some people wake up again in the southwest and say, no, this Nigeria, this constitution was put together hurriedly by some people. We are not interested. We need our own Ududua People Republic. So they are all making statements. You understand? Then we saw something called NSAS. It was a protest. It was a statement that you need to address some things. The obedient movement itself is, for me, it is another stage of NSAS. Because looking at the age bracket of the people who embarked on that movement, so it was a statement. So it is calling for attention. That, look, why you think everything is all right? No, there's discontent in the land. We have to look at it. So I pray that gradually, as we are going, the right thing will be done. Because the current government keep on hammering on how they met a moribund government, which was the former president's government, Muhammadu Buhari. So many people in government and those who are not in government even say that it was, I don't know anything about administration because I don't know, except some of the figures that are being dished out by the people. So we are telling the government there is soft iron in the land. People are not finding it easy. It's not easy. If anybody lie or trying to tell anyone that no, Nigerians are getting it, no, it is not. If you go out now, or the moment you park, as you're anywhere now, including Abuja here, before you come in, people are already.
Do you think the reactions of the government, as it has appealed for, suggests that there is hope and people should be as patient as they can be? Because tomorrow will yield. Some say the president has only been in office for less than 2 years. And
I said so too.
Yeah, you said so. And he is now being commended for some of his
the radical positions he's taking. I agree with that.
And recently he's cleared the IMF legacy debt.
Agreed.
Which many believe is suggestive of an intentional government. So what do you say to that?
No, I subscribe to that. You see, before now, what we do is to address the symptoms of problem. Let me quote the late Chief of Bafemi Awolowo. He said, the problem is anything which man may or may not be conscious, which affects or is likely to affect adversely and or which hinders the attainment of his goals and the satisfaction of his needs. And any failure, whether deliberately or inadvertently, to recognize and solve instant problem, you will complicate both the old and new problems. So if you must solve a problem, you have to look at the root of the problem. So, and the government of His Excellency President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, I want to solve this problem from the foundation. And taking some of the decision we'll have to take some pains. Nigerians, bear with me, but we will get there. So when I heard the news about the payment of debt, because I am as a businessman, I know what debt can do to your progress in business, because you'll be paying both the capital and interest. At times, the interest might even overshadow the capital. So I believe this is just 2 years. 2 years is not even done. It's sometimes maybe next week. Yeah. So I believe we have to be patient with the government and then look at what the government will tell us.
But the government is
what the government has done. But if you are in Abuja, for instance, I want to commend Nyesom Wike for everybody who is in Abuja. If you are in Abuja 3 years ago and you are in Abuja today, you can say that no, a lot of things have taken place, and this on its own will attract development because of infrastructures. Roads have been opened and so many other things. I commend that, and by extension, that is the appointee of the current government.
So based on this position you've taken now, are you surprised that opposition and members, governors specifically, are choosing to support the president because of his strides ahead of 2027? Are you surprised?
I don't know what to say about that, because we have freedom of association, okay, and anybody is bound to support whoever he wants to support when he wants to support. So I think going to begin to look at why is this governor supporting or why that governor not supporting is immaterial to me, because all the governor is an individual who has one vote, maybe with his cabinet, but the majority of the vote reside with Nigerians, and I am appealing to the government to look at Nigerians.
I'm looking at it from the political aspect of it. There are those who would question how an opposition party would be supporting a president in another party when their own political party definitely would have presidential candidates. So there's a fine line between anti-party, as they say it, and being realistic enough to see that the government of the day is doing well.
Let's look at APGA, for instance. The president was just in Anambra last week, and then the governor. You know that APGA originally, Anambra has been the stronghold of APGA. They do not really look at. You see, parties, that's why you talk about registration or the registration or something. Parties who think they can maybe strengthen their hold or their grip on one particular place and choose to support. It's about interest. I don't see anything wrong in that. It's politics. It's about give and take. Okay, I will support this, you support this for me. I will support that, you support this. When you do that, it's negotiation. You are here because you negotiated. And if the company is not getting anything from you, you won't be here. So there is nothing wrong. But the buck stop with the electorate, Nigerians. Not what the governors say. Let Nigerians, just like the Senate president, I had him saying recently that let's allow the common man to breathe. So let the Nigerian people feel the impact of government. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones to decide what happens, not the governors. Yes, they have their strength, they have the executive powers. But so many of them lost their states in the last election while sitting there. So if that could happen then, and then with what we are appealing to the National Assembly to facilitate, like the transmission, automatic transmission, legitimizing transmission of votes to the IRF, so that if you have any discrepancy,
you refer to it.
Any discrepancy between what you have on the IRF portal, or what is transmitted, and what you have on paper, that election should be knocked out until another is conducted. So we should synchronize what we have on paper or the accreditation with what we have as the end vote.
Okay, we're almost out of time, but let me, it wouldn't be fair to have you sit here and speak just in your capacity as IPAC chairman. I want to speak to you now as chairman of the Allied People's Movement. How's your party doing?
My party is doing very well. We had some House of Assembly when we came on board, and then somehow before the 2023 election, they moved into another party, and then we are still working hard to see that we have people of like minds who will come, but we are not relenting and our party is
So
the
as
party
it's-
for
as-
Nigerians.
as-
I even recently, the government, I think the National Executive Council adopted the slogan of my party as Nigerian First. This is the party for Nigerian First, and we are also calling on Nigerians to come and vie for elective offices in our party. Our party has no godfather. Our godfather is the constitution of the party, and then this is what we are doing. So I'm calling you to, and then to go to my party.
We've seen. It's interesting. We've seen the APGA
Yes.
adopting the president,
Yes, which is not wrong.
which isn't wrong. We've seen PDP governors adopting
Who believe in
who
him.
believe in him
Yes.
as well. Does the APM believe in the president?
We have
as
not
well?
gotten to where we endorse anybody.
Well,
we are only because we might have our own president. I might decide to run tomorrow for the same office if I have the capacity. So for me, we are not endorsing.
But you
we
already
are praying that the president succeed. We want him to succeed. We are supporting him to succeed. But we have not got into that period of election.
Well, beyond when you talked about funding for your party, what is the challenge with growing your political party? Your party has not, as one of the least ranked parties in Nigeria.
It's like you were not listening to my earlier analysis.
Beyond funding.
No, hold on. Today in Nigeria, you practically have no political party ideology. We only have parties that people believe my interests will be protected or can be protected. So people go into. So whatever your ideologies, if you have, people don't really look at it. The lucrativity in political office in Nigeria, we must look at it, must be reviewed. That people go into public office not to serve the people, but their interest. Because it's believed that the people that are voting you were paid somehow. And that takes us to the issue of vote buying. You see the clash between the office or the legislative arm of the government today and the executive. Before, or constitutionally, constituency project, executive project is purely within the purview of the executive arm of the government. But today, you go to the villages, go to the grassroots, Nigerians will look, they will accuse their legislative officials or they will accuse them of not constructing roads, which is not their responsibility, of not building schools, of not building, you understand?
So the problem is based on this, is
Yes.
the problem with the politician or is it with the people?
We have a systemic problem. The man at the grassroots voting does not even know what he's doing. So if you have political parties have the funding, it will help them too in boosting their capability or their capacity to embark on education, sensitization of the public. People do not, how many Nigerian society today will call their electorate after office to account for what they have done? They are still worship. No. Politicians feel, okay, fine, at the end of the day, go and what we take, is it 10,000, 5,000 per vote? Yes, it is not. It is an aberration. But that is where we are.
I've had this conversation with a number of politicians and public affairs analysts, including CSOs, and they've always pointed out to one thing, that the current crop of politicians cannot change or do better. It's like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That a new crop of politicians must come on board. Now, I've also had conversations with what I would call new crop of politicians who say that the system they met cannot be changed. And that's the system you talk about, with the expectation of the constituents, the electorate, monetary expectations. So what is the root cause and how would we change something like that?
You see, as long as we continue to narrow these things to the people in public or the politicians, we can't get it right. The system, Nigeria as a system, need some mental revolution. Today, okay, you talk about the politician. Somebody win election. A few elements in the judiciary, not all, will come up. Somebody will deliver judgment, but that have no justice. That is strange to the system. This is the man that won the election. But out of technicalities, it will be allowed to go. So, what is the implication? Now, the people know who they voted for. You have succeeded in enthroning voters apathy because people do not believe that, oh, okay, since they just announced who they want, how can I be? So, the influence of judiciary, the police as an institution, you allow yourself to be used by one man who you think is protecting your interest today. We have to look at everything.
Mr. Yusuf,
you see, the influence or the role of security agencies in determining the process of election. All these things we need to look at it. And the electorate themselves. We should be able to sacrifice the 2,000, 10,000, 5,000 you are collecting to vote somebody. Where does he get the money from? If he chooses to give you and you think you need, take it and vote the person you think will take care of your society. We must begin to learn to vote not along ethnic lines, not along religious lines, not along who is my friend, but who can deliver.
That is where an informed electorate.
So these are the things we need.
Absolutely.
To begin to send, okay, to inform our people.
Right. Mr. Yusuf Dantele, we have a lot to speak about, but not enough time. So I say thank you very much for coming to speak with me on Political Paradigm. Thank you very much. Well, I've been speaking with Mr. Yusuf Dantele. He is the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council and also the chairman of the Allied People's Movement. If you'd like to catch this episode and more, please go to YouTube and search Political Paradigm or simply go to channelstv.com. I'm Terry Kumi. Goodbye.